internets? It's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Dawnbringers, The Forge of Fury, Season 2, Episode 11, which I have titled Back the Way We Came. And if you were with us last week, you will realize that was also the title of last week's episode. But I have retitled last week's episode, The Long Rest. Is that what I called it? I told you guys. I think that's what I called it, The Long Rest. You'll see when it goes up on YouTube. Since they actually did not go anywhere last week, let alone back the way we came, which is perfectly fine. We had a wonderful session RPing the Long Rest, but we'll get into that when somebody recaps us in just a few moments. First, a couple of announcements. So, first off, I'm going to type a new chat command into chat, and it is the word coffee. Metade roast coffee is now available. It is a Brazilian and Peruvian medium roast coffee that is a collaboration between Initiative Coffee Company and Mini Terrain Domain. For every bag that you purchase, a portion of the proceeds go to Jasper's Game Day. It is a awesome collaboration that I worked out with Initiative Coffee Company for a organization that I'm very proud to be partnered with. Nice try, Chesic student. Even though I'm doing the announcements, I still see what you're up to. No beer promotionals yet. We'll see what we can do to get... Talmud, what's the special dwarven ale that you had a few bottles of?
It is Kiergan ale.
Kiergan. We need somebody to make a craft beer called Kiergan. It's got to be an IPA, a double IPA with a high ABV to fit. But at any rate, then maybe we can get that beer hashtag or beer command working. But yeah, please follow that link and check out Metade Roast Coffee. I'm also working on it probably won't be this season yet, but for next season to actually have a few bags of coffee on hand to give away during the stream in raffles to our viewers. So stay tuned for that. I will also say that there's a few more, just a couple new information tabs, banners down below over on Twitch. Just look down below and you'll see what they are. There is, I don't know how I didn't have this up before. There is a new banner for merchandise, which we do not yet have any Dawnbringers. I don't know why I haven't made the Dawnbringers logo into a t-shirt yet. I will get on that. I think I'd intended to, and I just never did. V's face is telling me, how dare you? But you will find Cult of Personality merchandise, Mini Terrain Domain merchandise, as well as, I think we have one graphic for the All That Glitters campaign as well. So I'll definitely get some Dawnbringer stuff up there. But it's pretty open based on the design. T-shirts, prints, stickers, things like that. In fact, the emote that is the devil face, that I actually call the Locrius devil face, I'm going to drop it in the chat right now. You can get that as a t-shirt. That is actually our best seller right now. I wonder why. I'm kidding. There's a very popular, very iconic thing there. So be sure to check that out as well. Mark your calendars for the week of May 12th through the 16th. Because Mini Terrain Domain will be suspending regularly scheduled games of Chult's, Waterdeep, and Dawnbringers to bring you Jasper's Game Week. 1 week, 5 days, 40 hours of gaming. We have got some incredible game masters. I wish you could just take a peek at all of the messages going back and forth with the game masters and players that are going to be involved. One of our flagship games, which... you can, if I could trouble you while we're doing announcements, to grab that link that Jay shared recently. Jason shared. It's a link where you can actually go to the Tiltify page And you can, for a very modest, I think it's only $5, you can purchase a raffle to become one of 5 players. Each day we have a flagship game, and we have reserved a seat for you. We will be right before those, before that week or right before those games, we will be drawing those seats, and you will have a chance to play alongside people like Dan Dillon as the game master, or JB from Drop the Die, or perhaps WebDM Jim. WebDM and Jim and Pruitt are playing in the game as well. WebDM Jim, of course, running that game. Just to name a couple, we have just phenomenal things that have been gifted to the stream from Wormwood Gaming, Miniature Market, Dogmite Games, Wizards of the Coast, D&D Adventures League, and we just might be able to see a sneak peek adventure before it even releases from the new Ghosts of Saltmarsh adventure campaign setting coming from Wizards of the Coast. Thank you, V, for putting that link in the chat. That is going to get you to where you have a chance to win a seat at the table during the stream week. I think that covers it for my announcements. I believe V wanted to introduce a guest that will be accompanying her tonight.
Yes, everyone. I just want to let you know I have a little guest with us this week. His name is Flat Stanley, and this is our friend Flat Stanley, who my youngest is actually keeping with us for the week, and we have to make sure he's doing cool things. And I thought tonight would be a pretty cool thing to do. So say hi to Stanley, everyone.
There, you got it nice and held up so you can get a screen cap with dang it, with Flat Stanley. And to make sure that Flat Stanley is in fact doing cool stuff, one time during tonight's game, you can flash Flat Stanley up on the screen. Say that 5 times fast. And you can treat Flat Stanley like a point of inspiration. And because you are the one who controls Flat Stanley, you can also offer that inspiration to any of the other players at the table. So that is up to you to remember that. All right. It is, as I said, episode 11 in the Dawnbringers campaign, The Forge of Fury. Back the way we came. Now, I do want to point out, Season 1 was 12 episodes. That does not mean that Season 2 is 12 episodes. Because these guys somehow managed to skip big chunks of this dungeon. And they haven't even touched on their orc mission. Or barely touched that. So, we don't know how many episodes. I just don't want people thinking, oh, it's almost episode 12. They're almost done. We're just going to play the season out as long as it goes. This isn't network television. So with that, who among you would like to recap last session?
I think Jeremy should do it.
Talmud's recap is
everything was dark.
Your second health.
So if nobody else wants it, I'll take it. So basically, we killed the dragon the session before, or I should say they killed the dragon. And, we decided to sit down and, rest, get our spells back, and really, figure out what's going on. Dwarves initially dove right into the treasure. And, because, Talmud or Jeremy wasn't here, we said that Talmud was very, very interested in the axe. And he kind of, meditated and, rested with the axe. Griveth still trying to figure out, what is affecting him. He decides that he's going to walk back, and he's the only one to actually have left the room with the dragon. And he went back all the way to the waterfall, and he, took off all his stuff, doused himself in oil, and went and, prayed, meditated underneath the waterfall. And he actually got a vision or a message from Eldath saying that basically you done screwed up. The only way to really make this go away is to undo what you did. You got to get rid of that tree. It's bad. It's wrong. It's evil. That's that. in the meantime, Thorgarn looking through the treasure, trying to find out, what kind of stuff is here. He definitely has that dwarven greed, I guess you want to say, interest in what's there. So we make sure that the shield winds up going to Griveth. The wand of magic missile, he actually takes over to Fig and gives it to him personally, which Fig was kind of shocked. It's like, oh, okay. That winds up like something shoots out of his arm, takes the wand, and it disappears into his forearm. So we apparently have a Gatling gun of wand spaces in Fig's compartment. So that's a pretty interesting development going on there. Cantriel spent some time talking to her mother. We find out that there's a number of sigils on the bow, all related to people who are her family. Once Griveth comes back and Thorgarn tries to talk to him about some of his newfound powers and he might be able to help, Griveth basically like verbally assaults him and like, no, I want nothing to do with your god. It's like, okay then. So I wind up trying to get Cantriel's help in figuring out what I should do. And that's when Mama Bo decides that she wants to begin meeting everyone. We get this big powwow session with, again, those of us that are there. Mama meets everybody. We wind up going through a ceremony, and the candles get all kinds of weird, and we get imagery of shadow dragon and tree, and some red dragon. Where we see ship, and we're on the ship, so we think that there's some kind of foreshadowing going on with that. Did I miss anything important there, Jake?
I don't think you did. I think you pretty much covered everything very well. Holy moly. Okay, so I'm going to need a moment. I got to do some quick math. Our super patron, Chameleon Fam, has just dropped a donation of $40.
Oh, wow.
Purchasing 8 domain dice for you. So super shout out to patron saint of the domain dice, Chameleon Fam, setting these folks up for an incredible session. And I think I wrongly called this out last week. I believe it was in the session with the battle with the dragon that it was Talmud, Jeremy, who was the first one to use the patron's blessing, the 5 domain dice for an automatic to turn a hit into an automatic double critical max damage. So real quick before I'm glad that was at the beginning here so I could do this. So you guys have 44, so that's going to bump you guys up to 52 domain dice. I'm just going to take away these 40, jump all the way up to the 50, and then we're going to go ahead and zap those 2 right there, as you are now at 52 domain dice. So that is a great way to start this session off, as we pick up immediately after the vision of the shadow dragons and the tree. The candles that were used in the ceremony had suddenly shot out these gouts of flame and created all the dancing shadows, and you all watched this imagery play out, and the vision of the boat, the ship on the sea, and all of this, and just in time to see the fading shadows of the dragon flying in the air over a ship at what looks to be a storm-tossed sea, is kind of the moment where Talmud, you wake up and you see the shadow playing across the ceiling of the cavern, You've been asleep for almost a solid 8 hours. The best rest you've had in a long time. Your arms and legs are curled around both Gerta and this Durgadin battle axe that your friends decided that you should have. Just as you sort of come to, you see these shadows, and they, almost as quick as your eyes open, the shadows dissipate, and the candles sputter out into just plain, normal-sized candle flames as the candle wax itself is nearly at its end. Basically, these wicks are floating in puddles of wax on the rocks where this ceremony was performed. Talmud, what is your reaction as you come to this scene?
Talmud kind of rolls over and kind of stretches, opens his eyes and looks, and he kind of stops mid-stretch. He kind of sits halfway up and kind of looks around. Oh, I just had one of those strange dreams where you wake up and you're not really awake and you're not really asleep. How strange. Oh, I feel fantastic, though.
Well, considering you slept so long, I'm not surprised.
But all of you look morose.
Well, perhaps because we haven't found the love of our lives.
Well, while you were sleeping, we had some things we, tried to do anyway.
Like to me while I was sleeping?
No, daft. Well, I did try to talk to you and whatnot, but you wouldn't stop sleeping or wouldn't respond. We're kind of worried, but I guess maybe you drank too much. But no, we were trying to help out Griveth. I don't think it worked.
No, you need longer than 8 hours for that, I'm afraid.
But I feel fine. I'm sure it worked.
I'm gonna say no.
Yes, there wasn't exactly promising hints.
I don't feel anything.
Exactly. You should feel different.
All right. We've got our rest.
So shall we, as I say, go back the way we came?
We don't really have a choice, do we?
Well,
I'm not giving you
feel...
inspiration for that. but it was clever.
That's a nope.
Well, unless you feel like swimming.
Not really, no.
Well, I certainly don't mind, but I don't think that the trip will hold up well for others.
I don't recommend swimming in armor, and well, Griveth and I, got armor, and well, Fig looks like he's made of it. So, yeah.
Hey, Jake, I want to ask you a question.
No, maybe. We'll see. All right, now ask your question.
Okay, so I found the magical shield, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what I was thinking for kind of a cool visual was that the shield kind of when I bonded to it over the long rest, it took to my faith, and like it kind of flashes like it has a visual of a waterfall on it, like that's moving on the shield. I mean, game terms, it's not really anything, but I just thought it'd be a cool visual.
I will allow that. That's actually pretty cool. It is a magical shield, and you did attune to it. So yeah, it has almost a lenticular effect, like those little lenticular stickers or whatever, that as you kind of move it, as you're moving it around, it looks like the water is cascading.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no mechanical advantages to that, but definitely style points.
No.
I like it. All right, so what would you like to do?
All right, friends, let's find some orcs.
So you guys will remember that you had descended a several 100-foot metal ladder down. You had tied yourselves together and gone down the ladder next to the waterfall from the blade works. Going up requires effort, but you're now familiar with it. I'm not going to make you guys re-roll or anything like that. We can say that you, if that is indeed what you would like to do without any other stops, we'll cut to just as you guys are climbing up out of the blade works. You are very wet because you did have to traverse the water to get to the ladder, and of course you had a waterfall falling next to you. But once again, you are back in the blade works, and let's get over here to our map, and let's see, you were here. Let me turn off the Black Lake. So you are now coming up back in the foundry levels. Whoa, I don't know what I just moved. So you're coming up from that waterfall right there, back into this area where, as a reminder, the leftmost bridge over this fast-moving water is destroyed. It was destroyed by the Grey Dwarves' shatter spell. So yeah, there's a couple, even within this area, you have within this area, you knew that I think you had explored that the water kind of went to where it disappeared to the west into the rocks. And then there's the large stone double doors that you came to from that throne room. Is that the direction in which you would like to go?
That's the only way to go, right? We have to go back
The way you came?
Well, we have to go back to the room with where the Thorgarn was.
Yeah, so basically, well, the blade works here is where the two Durgar that were working the forge were. This is your original point where you had spent a short rest. You had killed some Durgar, and you basically had, if you remember, up to the upper that northwestern corner, both Griveth and Thorgarn had explored, and let's see what the area is. You had not explored the actual room, but you had explored the doorway, which you had determined that, trying to find it. This is the beauty of trying to prep for a session like this, is not knowing where your players are going to go. Just trying to figure out, what do you prep for? So I prepped for everything, and remember nothing. One moment, as because there are words that were on that. I'll see if either Griveth or Thorgarn can cover my ass, and how well you took notes, or if you did, of what was written on the doors there.
I don't got that part. I got the female Thorgar's name that we fought. That's Garid, but yeah.
Wasn't it something about sleeping death? But that was where we ended up going, isn't it?
Nope.
It wasn't the Nightwing one, right?
Nightwing. That's what it was.
The Night Has Wings.
That was the warning that your mother's voice had.
Oh, I heard that. I didn't read it. Okay.
Yeah. So what you actually find, okay, here it is. I was looking at the thing was numbered wrong. The inscription that is marked upon that door in Orc was Beyond this door, the maker of death is chained. May he gnaw on his own hate until the sun dies and all things end. You had also heard sounds of shuffling and clattering coming from the northeastern door. And from the southwestern door, you had heard nothing. The easternmost door behind the throne is where you had determined that there was an individual. Griveth thrust Sir Bradford's honor through the door until you saw a pool of blood from below. So this is kind of a refresher on this room here back in the foundry. What would you like to do?
I just want to say that you have all promised me that when we came back this way, we would destroy the evil.
I don't recall saying that exactly, no, or even close to that.
So are you saying you want to go through the door that says that, death is that way?
Yes.
So you want to run right into trouble?
I am
Yes.
fairly certain that I would not agree to such a thing because I'm not seeking death.
Do you want evil? Do you want this evil lurking in your ancestral home? Don't you want to clear this place of the taint that has infected your ancestral home, your ancestral place?
Well, it's already bound.
The spirits. Do you want them tormented by this evil?
Well, you bring up a point, but I'm thinking we're not quite ready for that yet. I mean, we couldn't even cure the corruption in you. What makes
we
you
killed a dragon? There is no corruption. It is gone. We destroyed a dragon. We can do this.
That was
we killed the dragon, yes, but you're still on this side of the wackadoo mode. Let's put it that way.
And that was a little dragon. Just saying. As far as dragons
still
go.
A dragon. So
Okay.
maybe Cantriel, maybe your mother can tell us of what lurks beyond. Maybe
I don't know. I don't know what she'll be able to tell you, but I can think of a few things I'd like to say to you.
I'm ready.
Oh, no, you're not.
Cantriel, you must keep your eye on that one.
Yes, mother.
Only you hear that.
That was in her head. You think?
Yeah, unless I specify otherwise, when your mother speaks, it will be only to you, Cantriel.
Excellent.
I kind of noticed Cantriel's face like she's listening, and I say, "What did your mother tell you?"
That it's a nice sunny day outside.
Did she tell us anything to defeat this evil?
Wear galoshes.
No, I didn't bring them.
All right. So based on what we've got here, do we have any idea of which one of these doors might be heading north or like up?
I would guess one of the two doors to the north.
I don't know if we know.
I would think based on. Actually, you know what? That's a good point. Since you brought it up, you can roll a survival check.
Done.
Anybody that wants to know for sure which direction is north can roll a survival check.
That is
unless there is a ranger that has an ability that lets you always know that direction.
I'm obsessed with the evil door.
I believe, as we said before, you're more than welcome.
I don't remember if that's a level 1 ranger thing.
Nah, I think there's a feat that lets you know which way north is.
Fig, how do you feel about this evil?
It has done nothing to us, has it? For you to term it as evil? You are basing your opinion on what it has said on some stone. Are you not?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right, so I cannot form an opinion about how I feel about that. until I have met or interacted with this thing.
But it says it's evil.
Right. And on the box that I was put in, it said that there was biscuits in there. But as you can see, I am not a biscuit. So
Well punned, Fig. You
Well.
made me proud.
Griveth just doesn't know what to say. For once he's tongue-tied.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing. Megan, take a point of inspiration for that. That was great. Fig's personality is starting to shine through. How was that survival check there?
I was a
Thorgarn?
23, sir.
20 for me.
Yeah, I would say anybody that got over an 18, since you're so far down, yeah, you know north is north. So those two doors that I have indicated were north, you in character know are north.
Right. I was, when I said north, I also meant like heading up. So I think we need to open both of those doors and try to see what looks like it's heading up, because that's what we were told, that the orcs were higher up. And if that's what our current mission, is to actually go and do, I think that's what we need to be looking for. Because I mean, we've killed 2 orcs. Not really the horde that we're looking for.
I suppose not, but there was the other horde downstairs. But
they weren't orcs.
True.
I mean, we've already brought in a fair bit of coin, but
a little extra couldn't hurt.
Extra can't hurt, and there's that whole revenge factor. They killed a lot of people.
Very true. Well, I'm with you on the revenge part. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
I agree. The orcs have shown themselves to be not very nice. So they would be evil.
Well observed, Fig.
I hear an awful lot of talk about killing orcs, but there's not a lot of orc killing going on, so maybe...
We're trying to narrow down where the orcs are?
If you have an idea, Sleeping Beauty, by all means, pipe up.
Oh, I didn't know you liked me, Cantriel. That's very kind of you to say. My mother always said I was beautiful, but...
Well, she's seeing you through a mother's eyes, so of course she's going to think you're beautiful.
I think this door, I don't know if it's the right one or not, but that's the one I'm going to pick. He's going to head over to the rightmost door on the northern wall and attempt to open it.
Griveth doesn't like this talk, this flirty talk. He has a bit of a pouty look on his face.
All right, let me see where you are. What door you are opening. Ah, okay. So you are attempting to open this door. So in true Talmud fashion, you just walk straight for the door and open it. As soon as you grab the handle, you hear click as the latch comes free and the door swings open.
So if I touch the portal with the evil on it, like the door, does it seem unlocked?
It's hard to tell just by touching it.
Okay, so I turn the handle or whatever.
You
I try to just gently turn it.
You grab the door handle and you turn it, and you hear just sort of a creaking sound of a door that has not been opened in a very long time. And it comes open.
Anything happen?
Did you not hear my...
I mean, besides noise.
No. The door opens. It protests a bit, but So now you have opened both doors on the north side.
Okay.
So are you each looking in to your respective areas?
So to confirm, the orcs wrote on the door that
Yes, in
this
orc,
is evil?
it was written. The word evil is not anywhere in there. That's Griveth's interpretation of the orcish.
Right, but isn't he the only one that can read orc?
Beyond this door, the maker of death is chained. May he gnaw on his own hate until the sun dies and all things end. #evil.
Yeah, that just sounded evil to me. Call me crazy.
So if this is a thing that orcs are saying brings death, I'm sorry, I don't really think that that's evil, but we can't know that because it's based off of Griveth's interpretation because he's the only one that can read orc.
Talmud,
All right, so
you've opened this door into a
Allegedly.
large chamber with a dark pool in the center. You can see that there's bits of smashed furniture and other debris scattered all around the floor. There are hallways that lead off to the east and to the west. You also can hear a sound coming through these halls. Which you would recognize as very profane dwarven curses. As you stand there, you hear and it begins growing louder and closer. Griveth, are you looking inside your room?
Yes.
You can see that this room was once a shrine to the gods of the dwarves. The walls are carved with their dour images, and a low stone altar stands at the western end of the room. Stone benches have been smashed and thrown askew, and the icons of the gods have been defaced. Atop the altar, arms folded over his chest, lies the ancient corpse of a dwarf warrior in plate armor. Bones lie heaped around the altar's base, and at its foot crouches the desiccated body of an orc in studded leather. And this is basically happening simultaneously. As Griveth and Talmud have both opened doors and appear to be looking in at opposite sides of the room, what are you doing, Fig?
Fig is slowly approaching Thorgarn with this little box in his hand. This might not be the right time to do it, but Fig doesn't know better, so so he's going to walk up to Thorgarn and kind of tap him on the shoulder.
What's up, Fig?
You thought of me when you gave me the wand, and in return, I made this box and thought of you. And he is going to hold up this box, and it is full of like these moving gears, and it's kind of glowing with what looks to be some of what you can only assume is Fig's blood, this glowing blue stuff, and he gives it to you. This will protect you.
That's very very thoughtful. How does it work?
You just and he like takes the huge book that he has, and he's gonna like flip through it, and he shows you a picture of this little cube, and over top you can see in very nice handwriting a transmuter's stone on it. You just hold it and it will protect you.
Well, I will treasure this. Thank you.
So what he gave you is the transmuter stone, which basically you are going to have resistance to lightning damage.
Cool.
And you can, you can have a bunch of other resistances, but I thought, like, I don't know, lightning, that makes sense, but maybe not. But yeah. And he says, if you ever want me to change the way it protects you, just give it to me and I can do that for you.
Well, thank you very much.
And then Fig is going to walk over to where Talmud is.
All right, and as you do so, you see over Talmud's shoulder and you can now hear this sound coming from the other side of this door and from these hallways, this and then you see as this translucent form of an armored dwarf begins to round the corner. Cantriel, what are you doing at this moment?
I'd be standing between the two doors, have the bow notched and ready with an arrow, and just sort of like panning between the two. So whichever one comes out first.
Trying to cover them both.
Yeah.
So Griveth, you see this sight of this body, this dwarven body on the altar, and you see the bones, and you see this desiccated orc corpse in this very clearly desecrated holy place. What do you do?
I kind of realize what they've done, that they've desecrated this holy place, and I'm calling for Thorgarn. I'm like, Thorgarn, I need you.
So I will quickly run in, and it probably of all of us here, I would understand this more than anyone else. And you know, I would be like shocked for a moment when I get in and see what's been done to the altar.
Yeah, you also see that Griveth understands the vile act that they've done here, and you can see that he has a few tears coming down his face, with empathy for you, for what's going on, what happened here.
Question for Griveth and then for Thorgarn. Have you entered the room?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to need everybody to roll for initiative as you have effectively split yourself between two rooms.
Sorry, guys.
You guys said, of all the things you could do, you opened two triggering attacks at once.
Are we able to use the inspiration that's on our sheet to reroll initiative dice?
I think that we had set that precedent, maybe not in this campaign, but I think the previous one that
Right.
Yes, any D20 roll you can spend an inspiration or a domain die. And I need to figure out, let's see, I gotta...
It's still crap, but better than the 4 it was going to be.
All right, I gotta roll some. I'm sitting here waiting for you guys. I'm like, wait, I need to roll too. Been a while. All right, so oh boy, that might have been a nat 20 on an initiative. And
can we force a reroll on that?
Sure, if that's what you want to use it for. You have a limited number of domain dice.
Yeah, but that guarantees it's going before all of us.
All right, so we'll take you guys back here. We'll do this. We'll do this. Just because I like seeing all these lined up there. You're now at 50 domain dice. Let me get this guy written down first. This is... Alright, so that's that. And re-rolling the nat 20. I cannot believe this. I re-rolled the nat 20 with the 2 domain dice. This is the new initiative. That you cannot swing. You cannot swing the effects of a battle any further left or right. So I would say, well done. Well, good use of the domain dice. Griveth, what is your initiative?
My initiative is 11.
Cantriel.
14.
Big.
18.
Thorgarn.
10.
Talmud.
7.
What is your dex, Cantriel?
+3.
+3. Okay, so I'll write this down. All right, and before we get started, because this is definitely relevant, I need to go in here and, well, you guys have 50 domain dice right now, but I'm just gonna take those 5 away from you, and I'm gonna take that away from you to bump you up to 50, and then give you 4 more for the $20 donation from patron Saint Chameleon fan Joey P in the chat. Thank you for supporting their split party decision and giving them what they need to go into this battle. The initiative order for this battle is Fig is going first, followed by the Dwarven Spirit, followed by Cantriel. Something else is going after that. And then, let's see, that was... And then Griveth will go after that. Then Thorgarn. Then Talmud. And then the last thing that you already know, you don't know what it is, but you know that it has a 1 for its initiative from the reroll. So, Fig. At this point, you see this Dwarven Spirit shuffle around the corner. You hear this as it's moaning. And Talmud and Thorgarn. Fig, do you speak Dwarven? So
Yes.
anybody who speaks Dwarvish, hear this shouted cry of, "What the hell are you doing in my home?"
Why is there a train?
And whatever that sound was. As the dwarf also says, "I'm a train, choo choo."
Damn railroading DMs.
I wasn't sure if I was the only one hearing that.
Maybe this is where he trains. I don't know. It is his home.
Gamers Theater says it was a car alarm on a train. Somebody's trying to jack the train. All right, Fig. What are you going to do as this spectral dwarven spirit is, as he says this, his face sort of goes and becomes a horrific visage. What are you doing?
Fig was going to turn to Talmud to ask if we should attack this thing, but I think he is very scared of what face the ghost just made. And it's only Talmud and Fig that's in the direct vicinity of where this ghost is. Is that right?
Say that again.
It's only Fig and Talmud that's like directly.
Yeah, so again, I don't have pawns. So basically what you have is you can see into an open area that has a dark pool of water in the middle. This spirit is coming to you through this hallway. It is you and Talmud in this doorway. Cantriel is back in the room, sort of trying to cover both. She can see into each area from where she is. But that's going to put you roughly at a 50-foot range, Cantriel. And then Griveth and Thorgarn have gone into the room on the left. So yes, it is just you and Talmud at this room on the right.
Okay. And how far away is this?
I'm going to go ahead and bring up the map. There's not a whole lot to see here, but it should give you a little bit. So basically the dwarf is coming from that easternmost hall in this room with the circular sort of fountain in the middle of it. And if you guys are standing in the doorway, he's about 15 feet from you.
Okay, perfect. So Fig is going to walk 5 feet towards this ghost, and he looks back at Talmud, and you see that he takes something from the top of his neck, and it looks like this small little gear that he just took apart. And he looks at you, and he is going to throw this gear on the ground, and just this giant explosion happens as he's cast Thunderstep, but is also transported Talmud, if he's willing, to a safe space so that he won't be affected, but the ghost will.
Where are you transporting yourself to?
To closer to where Cantriel is.
What's the range? I think it's 60 or 120.
90
or 90.
90, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you can absolutely, just as you said, you just suddenly, both of you sort of step backwards, and in the vacuum of where you were, there's this tremendous
to make a Constitution saving throw.
All right, so that is going to be a nat 20.
Can I get you to reroll that, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
So let me zap these from you. Whoops. Zap these from you. I keep taking away the one that you don't have. And I'm going to switch over here. So I'm using my starter set D20. I'm going to re-roll that. New roll is a 7 on the Constitution saving throw.
Yes. So it is going to take a total of 24 points of thunder damage.
In that moment, as you step back, in your vision, you see this thunder hit this ghost, and then you suddenly see it sort of just, all of a sudden, it's like 60 feet away from you. You see, as it sort of, the ghost's form sort of glitches for a moment, seems to almost be blown backwards, disincorporates for just the briefest moment, and then it just sort of reincorporates itself. Is that all is that the end of your turn? All right, next up is it is in fact this very same ghost. So let's see, what is the range of this?
Did you say anything to warn us, you guys out in the other room? No?
I think you would have just heard the thunder. Because I believe Thunderstep, like most thunder effects, travels for like 300 feet. So yeah, you definitely hear thunder. Avatar, The Last Airbender, Now All of China Knows We're Here, JPEG. So the ghost is going to, let's see. The ghost actually hovers forward through the doorway. And it looks at you and it opens its mouth. It's like that scene in Ghostbusters where its face just suddenly, and I need Cantriel, Talmud, and Fig to make wisdom saving throws. Unless you have a feature that prevents you from being frightened.
I'm going to use a domain dice.
All right. All right. Fig fails.
I'm using one as well.
I still fail, but at least it wasn't a 1.
Oh my god. Jake, your game. I don't know what in the hell.
All right. How'd you do, Talmud?
That was with spinning a domain die.
Yep.
And I ended up with, what was it, a wisdom save?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a 4. That was with advantage.
And what did Cantriel end up with?
A 7.
Okay. Cantriel and Talmud. Oh, no. I would like each of you to roll a d4. Given that you are longer-lived races, this probably won't affect you too much.
2.
Cantriel. You, Talmud, and Fig, all of you are suddenly just terrified of this creature. You're seeing now its full potential as an undead spiritual entity. Fig, you watch something in your mechanical nature, the time you have spent just immobile, biding your time. You're used to watching things that normally happen slowly. You suddenly see, as it's subtle, because both Cantriel and Talmud, being dwarves, a dwarf and an elf, they're longer-lived races, but you watch as Talmud ages by 10 years. Cantriel ages by 20 years. So make a note of that, that you are 10 and 20 years older, respectively. All of you are frightened and basically have the typical frightened condition in which, of course, you can't move closer willingly to the target. I gotta open this in a different window so I can see it better. So yeah, all three of you are terrified. That is actually, just want to make sure we don't miss something. Yeah, you can't willingly move closer, and you have any disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while it is within line of sight. Cantriel, you are up.
Well, I think seeing this lovely, terrifying creature and, recently reunited with her mother, I have a feeling she's just going to shout out Mama to the bow and see if Mom can come out and play. Because we have that lovely little feature for Melody.
Oh. So you are using your action to do that.
Yep.
I'm just remembering. Why don't you describe what that looks like since you have the card in front of you?
Basically what happens is, as Cantriel says, Mama, this bluish, purplish vapor begins to sort of weep its way out of the rune that is Melody's rune on her bow. And you see it take form, and it's a form that looks quite similar to Cantriel, but perhaps a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit more stout. And you see it take on the shape of an older elven woman who is now standing next to Cantriel. And it is Cantriel's mother's, basically a shadow.
Cantriel has invoked a primary feature of the draconic / elven rune Melody and summoned the elf shadow of Melody. V, I am sending you a link. You might have this already, but this link will provide you with the necessary stats. Oh, you already got it. Already ahead of me. Why I like playing with people who are expert players and DMs themselves. They know how to prep for everything. All right, so, and that uses your action to do so.
How do you want to fit that in? Do you want us just to share the same initiative slot?
Yes, I'm going to say that if it's not specified on the sheet, that she will take her turn immediately following your turn.
Okay.
Which would... I'm going to say we can do it now, since you just said that.
Okay, cool.
Since it was your action that was Burn summoning her.
Okay, cool. Then I'm going to
And
have
she
her.
is not afraid. Oh, also, real quick, make a wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
For
Where
you.
did 20 go? Oh, thank God. 20 dirty.
You also, the presence of your mother as she emerges from the bow just instills in you this new sense of determination and pushes that fear down. And the taste of the fear is still there, but you are no longer afraid of this ghost. And in fact, you are immune to this feature for the next 24 hours.
Sweet. All right, so...
All right, what is Melody the Elf Shadow going to do?
I think being that she's no longer feeling as terrified, Cantriel would communicate to her mother telepathically, go to the others and, direct her towards the room in which she saw Griveth and Thorgarn disappear.
She turns and looks to you for a moment. She sees your resolve and she just gives you a nod. And she will move. What is her speed?
Speed is 40.
So she can make it to the doorway of the desecrated sanctuary.
Okay.
I'm going to make a note that Melody is in here. All right. Now we are on to in the desecrated sanctuary. We cut to Griveth and Thorgarn. As the two of you enter this room, this desiccated body of an orc that is crouched at the base of the altar, near the foot of it. You hear that creaking sound of leather, dry, desiccated skin, cracking, creaking, you even hear the bones cracking, like hundreds of knuckles cracking as this thing rises to its feet. It twists its head. You hear the cracking of bones. And it is going to attack the first person who entered the room.
Is it the dwarf that got up or the orc that got up?
The orc wearing the studded leather armor.
Thank you.
Also, you see the bones at the base of the altar begin to stir. This orc is going to come towards you, Griveth. Check something. All right, Griveth. As it comes towards you, it swings in one motion. As it draws, you hear this, despite the decayed nature of this creature, you hear the fresh metallic ringing sound of a longsword being drawn free. Shing! And in that same motion, as it's going towards you, it slices upwards. And that is going to be a 19 on the die, which will be 23 to hit you, Griveth.
Ooh, re-roll it.
Absolutely. I will do that. As I re-roll the die, it is now a 12 to hit. It is going to for its second attack, as it misses, it reaches out towards you with its other hand, Griveth. That is a 14 to hit. It reaches towards you, but just grasps at air with its free hand. And that is its turn. Griveth, you are up, and this thing is immediately in front of you, engaged with you.
Okay, I shoot a glance over at Thorgarn, like, So this desiccated orc has gotten up, and then these skeletons are also rising too, right?
You see bones shifting, but nothing has risen yet.
Okay. I, Griveth, Paladin of Eldath, call on your power. Exorcise this foul beast. So I kind of hold my shield up, and you know how the waterfall's kind of going down the shield. It like almost expands out of the shadows of the waterfall, or the light from like a waterfall, like kind of expands out from the room, like flowing out from the shield, and it's like this holy power coming out from me, driving back these undead horrors. So my DC is 14 to turn undead. And they have to move away from me. Yeah.
Right, sorry, the DC is 14?
Yeah. Each fiend or undead that can see or hear me within 30 feet is turned for 1 minute until it takes damage.
I'm going to grab a different die for the orc. That is, I'm sorry, it was a wisdom save?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a turn
wisdom
undead. That is a 12. So it fails. There is nothing else in the room that can see you. It is only this orc white at the moment. But it has become frightened of you.
Back from this sanctuary, back! So
you see it sort of reel suddenly, and it pulls back the hand that grasped at you as if burned.
Cool.
All right, is that your turn then?
Yes. Eldath's grace flow over you, foul beast.
Thorgarn, you see what Griveth has done, and you see this creature seems to suddenly be afraid of him. What are you going to do? You're muted. You're pulling a Scotty.
Sorry,
I was
sir.
just thinking, Scotty hasn't done this in so long.
Well,
I know. I actually wasn't the first to pull a Scotty this time.
I've been trying to keep it going, but so Griveth, do we rush in and attack it, or is your power holding it at bay?
Take it out.
So is it still right in front of us?
Yeah, because it's not its turn, it hasn't moved away yet.
All right. Well, then I will rage and I will lay into it. So let's see here. That's a 22 and a 24 to hit.
Both of those are going to be hits.
So let's see here. So 7 and 8 points of damage.
Question. I need you during this battle to tell me which weapon does which damage.
Well, because I raged, I don't get my attack with my war pick, so that was all with the warhammer.
Which is
my magical hammer.
Okay. So that was a total of 15?
Hold on.
I think you said 8 and 7?
Hold on a second. I looked at the wrong line. 6, 8 and 9, so 17.
Excellent. Yeah, and you see, just as you slam into this thing, it takes the full brunt of your attacks. Talmud, meanwhile, back in the other room where you have suddenly been thunderstepped by Fig, you find yourself about 40, 50 feet away from this ghost dwarf, back in the middle of the room, and you are very afraid of this creature. You know, even if you want to, you know you can't move anywhere near closer to it.
You did hear your cousin, screaming at the top of his lungs as he charged in the battle in the other room. Yeah, you can head in that direction without a problem.
Well, okay. So Talmud says, there's something coming from this direction, and it looks very angry. I think it's a ghost, and he's going to turn and run in the direction of the desecrated sanctuary. And as he's running that direction, he's going to reach back and put a hand on Gerta and realize that his hand is like trembling. And instead, with a slight hesitation, he's then going to move to the great axe that they just got in the dragon den and pull it out instead.
And you have how much movement?
35? Yes, 35.
So you basically can get to the doorway in a single move. The open door, and you can see this desecrated sanctuary. You see Griveth and Talmud towards the front of the sanctuary, engaged with this undead orc.
So as he rounds the corner and spies this desecration, all of a sudden he kind of stops, he lurches to a halt, and his tattoos start to glow, and a spectral form that's much older and broader of shoulder appears, bedecked in the regalia of Moradin, and Horm shows himself, the great Uncle Horm, and says, "This will not stand."
Make a insight check.
Insight. Oh God, 6.
Okay, continue.
So yes, I am entering rage as a bonus action. Drew a weapon, so I think that's it.
All right. Make a wisdom saving throw.
I'm very good at those.
Yeah, we saw that already.
Watch and be amazed. God. A 9.
Okay. You're definitely still afraid of the ghost in the other room.
How close is he to us?
He's in the doorway, so he's probably about 20 feet away from you. Not close enough to gain your advantage. All right, so Talmud has gone. Griveth, Talmud, and Thorgarn. You watch as the bones at the base of the altar begin to clatter and shift and rattle. And they begin to rise up off the floor against themselves until they fully assemble into a creature that is nearly 12 feet tall, the skeleton of an ogre. And as it forms in front of you, Griveth, actually, I'm going to see, because both of you are right up there. So even it's Griveth, odd it's Talmud, or Thorgarn. Thorgarn, you are actually the one that is going to be attacked by this undead ogre. And you actually see not only the skeletal, you see some remains of skin and organs sort of form back up into it. Split party means I keep having to jump around. All right. It is going to attack Thorgarn with... that is an 18 on the die, so does a 24 to hit as it swings.
I'm going to deflect it. Deflect it.
All right, so that's disadvantage, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That is a nat 20, so the 24 stands. As you attempt to deflect it, you're not quite quick enough, misjudging its size as it slams its great club, which is actually seems to be comprised of bone, into Thorgarn. Thorgarn, you are going to take 18 points of bludgeoning damage as you get slammed by this thing. Lucky for you, it only gets the one attack. And we are back to the top of the order with Fig.
I don't think Fig has ever felt fear.
So what are you feeling? How does Fig interpret the sensation that prevents you from moving towards this ghost?
I think that Fig thinks that he's dying. Like so he sees Cantriel, and if his eyes could be wide, they would be. And he's holding on to Brown Gnaw very tightly. Cantriel, I do believe that I am dying. There is some sort of malfunction in my servers right now, and I need to restart or that thing is not good. He's like stuttering, like, and he's holding on to this rat, and he like would just drop down and sit down and kind of curl around Brown Gnaw and just hide his face. I don't think that he would even react.
Excellent. Yeah, and the stuttering is very much a Max Headroom, like, just seems like repeated phrases rather than just a normal person's stuttering. Go ahead and make your wisdom saving throw.
I can't tell if that's that's a 6. Yeah.
So it's a total. It's a total of 8.
Mm.
There are more domain dice.
I think I'm gonna let it stand based on how much he's freaking out already right now.
Fig, roll a d4.
Okay. That is a 4.
Cantriel, as Fig sort of just becomes the word is escaping me that I wanted to use. What is it when you can't talk? Catatonic. Becomes almost catatonic. Crouching down, clutching Brown Gnaw. You watch, and as rust begins to bloom across Fig's surface, where there were small patches of rust, you see large patches of rust bloom. And even in a couple spots, you see the rust just sort of fall away, and you can see the gears and servos beneath, as Fig has just aged 40 years. You also see it manifest in Brown Gnaw, as Brown Gnaw's appearance, while Brown Gnaw doesn't die, Brown Gnaw is a familiar, but Brown Gnaw sort of manifests this aging as a graying of the fur, as Brown Gnaw becomes almost completely gray, almost white in places. Fig, what is I'm trying to remember when you first described Fig. What is Fig's primary metal?
I don't know.
I mean, what was your
He's-
coloration? Was it like
Didn't you
brass
say
or
copper?
bronze or copper?
Yeah,
or-
copper. Like it's like this coppery color.
Okay, so I'm going to retcon the rust to that greening of the copper. That much of your surface begins to turn this greenish color with, I would say at this point, more tarnish than copper shows through with that aging. I don't remember for you what the lifespan is, but we'll have to double check to see how that actually affects you. But yeah, that's a pretty drastic aging effect from this. The fear of this ghost. And it is the ghost's turn. The ghost seems to be it seems to be relishing almost as it looks towards Cantriel and the nearly catatonic and now tarnished Fig. It moves towards you. And it comes flying right up to the both of you. And I need Fig to make a charisma saving throw. And because you are frightened, it will be, I believe it is at disadvantage. No, it is not. Saving throws are not at disadvantage. So it's a straight saving throw.
That's a 15.
You feel another unexplained phenomenon. You feel as if another mind is attempting to inhabit your body. And almost instinctively, your mind pushes it away before it can even gain any sort of purchase, as this ghost fails to possess you. And it is now Cantriel's turn. This ghost is now within just a few feet of both of you. You see Cantriel as this ghost is focused on Fig. What would you like to do?
Well, I'd like to cast Shatter since it's a sphere, but place it so it's behind the ghosty and not between us. If that would be possible.
Yes, that is is that a Constitution save?
Yeah, it's a con save against a 14.
What is remind me what the effect is, the damage effect.
Thunder damage. So having seen this fellow shaken and stirred by Fig's first attack, she's just going to start banging her fists against her thighs and making this rumbling like sound from it, and then raise her hands, and this shuddering sensation sound is going to start emitting from her hands as the sphere takes form behind the ghost.
That is an 11.
It fails, so it's going to take 3d8 of thunder. Thunder damage. Thunder.
Oh, nope, I can't sing. I don't know why I'm trying to
Thunder,
do that.
thunder.
Everybody knows what I mean. It's AC/DC.
Ooh.
Thunderstruck.
18.
Jeremy throws back his head as I quickly abandon singing. I'm sorry, what was the damage? 18?
18.
All right. You see again this ghost form sort of stutters and fades for a moment. It seems to, its entire body fragments. All around it, you see the ground just also shatters. Tile and stone floor shatters in a pattern around it. The ghost form refuses to be budged, and you see it just as quickly reform. This is the second time you've seen a thunderous attack on this ghost. Seemed to have an effect, but not as strongly as you would have anticipated. And next up
His mama.
is your mother,
Yes.
Melody, who is basically Talmud. When he rushed to the door, found himself sort of standing next to the shadow elf.
They haven't met yet.
No. So she just sort of kind of turns to him and gives a wink and a grin. And what does she do?
Just want to make sure we have the same information. She has that strength drain action, correct?
Yeah, there's certain things that are on your sheet that she doesn't have the ability that are modifications to the standard shadow.
Okay.
I don't believe that was one of them.
Okay, then I don't think I got the link you sent me because I just pulled the information up for a straight shadow, not the if you.
Well, your the bow itself
Mhm.
should have modifications. So if you have a printout, you want to make a note.
Yeah, it says she controls like a shadow, but she's an evil.
Okay. Yeah. So let me just double check something real quick because I want to make sure we are on the same page. Since this is the first time
Literally
we're using it. Let's see. Yep.
Can't create a new shadow. It's immune to effects that turn undead.
Yes. Wait. Say that again.
It's immune to effects that turn undead.
The other part.
Doesn't create new shadows.
Yeah, those are the modifications.
Okay. All right. So then she would have this.
Yeah. So
drain.
shadows do have the ability to, when they, if they kill a creature with their strength drain, a new shadow rises.
Mm-hmm.
You do not. She does not have that feature. She just has the standard strength drain.
Okay. So then.
So she's attacking the ogre skeleton or the orc white.
That's a good question. There's two in there, isn't there?
Yep. And she would have seen the ogre do a pretty powerful attack on Thorgarn.
Oh, then she'd probably go right up to the orc then.
That was the ogre that did that.
The ogre. Too many O's.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So she's going to do the strength drain, which is.
It's basically.
It's a melee attack.
It's a melee attack. Yep. So let's see if she hits first of all. Ooh, I think Mama's going to hit with a 23.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, she'll go up to the ogre skeleton, correct?
Yes.
And then it's going to be 2d6 plus 2 necrotic damage. And that's going to be 11.
Okay. And roll a d4.
Yep. And that is going to be a 2.
And that affects its total score. So that is going to move its
strength down by 2.
By 2. So that's going to reduce all of its attack and damage by 1.
It's something.
Okay. Good job from Mama Elf. And next up is going to be the frightened orc white that scrambles back away from Griveth. It actually scrambles backwards, drawing an opportunity attack from Griveth because it was still within melee range.
So do I get one as well? Because I smacked it on my last turn.
You are currently engaged with. Did you attack it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're both within your area of effect, even though you're engaged with the ogre. I will allow it.
Nice.
Mostly because it's the rules, but
that's gonna be an 18.
That's funny. I got an 18 also.
Those are both going to hit.
10 damage.
9 damage.
Are you attacking with Sir Bradford's honor?
Yes.
Okay. So 9 and 10, so 19 damage.
I'm thrusting.
Yes, you are. All right. As it scrambles back away from you, you both slice and slam into it, cutting away part of its leather armor. You see the dried skin flaying away, revealing bone underneath. It sort of scrambles almost spider-like until it is standing atop the altar, and it kicks the dwarven corpse off of the altar. It immediately drops its longsword, bringing its longbow up to bear on, I think it's going to attack Griveth, giving that it's its source. You are its source of fear. That is going to be a total of 10 as it draws this arrow, knocks this arrow, it releases it, and the arrow actually shatters as it leaves the bow, as desiccated and old as the orc white itself. I have to say orc white because if I say white orc, then it's Middle Earth and it's the Hobbit. And actually, I just realized I was doing that. So, Griveth, does it get to make its turn undead save each turn, or does that just lasts, right? Turn undead
Yeah, it just
persists for the minute.
But if we damage it, it basically takes that off.
Oh, okay, so it's not afraid of you anymore.
No.
So as it fires this arrow and misses, you see that realization in its eyes as it suddenly realizes, and I'm going to say it takes a tentative step forward, like leaning in and just sort of stepping towards. It doesn't actually step down from the altar. And you just see, and you actually hear that crackling leather sound as a smile curls, and you see one of its tusks sticking up as it realizes it's no longer afraid of you. Let's see, that was the... Wait. And Griveth, you are up. Griveth, Scotty, pull to Scotty. I realized there was no sound, and all I see...
Darn it, I did.
Are you invoking inspiration?
Yay.
Yes,
Okay,
give Griveth a Stanley inspiration.
So what Cantriel's in the room with us, right?
No, she is not.
Oh, she's still not? Her
No,
mom is, though?
But you see an unfamiliar, because you didn't see this manifest. You don't know where this came from. You see an elven form that has a spectral shadow-like appearance that does have a resemblance to Cantriel, a very strong resemblance, but it is not Cantriel.
Okay, so Griveth is a bit confused. and starts hollering out for Cantriel. Do you answer?
Griveth, it's not me, it's my mom.
You hear from the other room.
Okay, quickly realizing not sure what's still going on, but okay. He sees this desiccated orc, like, yeah, smiling at it with the big tusk coming up. And so I look at the orc and yeah, do my own little smile and call on the power of Eldath, smite this foul beast with a 19 to hit.
That is absolutely going to hit.
All right. I am smiting with, this is radiant damage. I don't know if that does anything extra. Ah! 22 points of damage.
22 points of damage. This is on the orc white,
Yes.
who is sort of standing above you on the altar. You rush at it with the power of Eldath. Griveth, the Knight of Smite. What does it look like when you kill this orc white?
Okay, so my sword glows to like this intense white light, and I just bring it down right in the center of this thing, and it like virtually explodes like a dried pumpkin, right? Just dust is flying in the air. A flap of its leathery skin kind of whizzes off like a frisbee and lands on Thorgarn's top of Thorgarn's head. And it just kind of like just goes straight down onto the altar in a pile of rubble and just rolls off the altar. And okay, I'm going to use my second attack now.
Okay.
I am going for this ogre.
Absolutely.
Ah! Nobody hurts my friends. Oh, damn, 22.
That is going to hit.
All right, smite! 25 points of damage.
Good Lord.
And that is radiant, if that has any effect. I don't think it does. But.
It does not. So, yeah, as you take your second attack and smite against this ogre, you actually shatter ribs. You see about 4 or 5 ribs just splinter and shatter and go clattering across the floor. It's still standing, but I'd say it looks pretty bad, but it already looked pretty bad from the start. And Thorgarn.
So I want to use a domain die. All right, so that is 14. I'm going to guess that's a miss on Ogre.
That is not a miss.
Oh, okay. Well, great then. So that is 13, 20 points of damage from...
Hold on. You are hitting with...
2 hits for a total of 20 points of damage with the Warhammer, that is magical, and then 5 points of damage with the War Pick, which is not.
You don't even need the War Pick. Because with your Warhammer, which is bludgeoning damage, this skeletal creature is... what's the word I'm looking for?
Eradicated?
Vulnerable. What?
Oh.
What'd you say?
Eradicated?
I thought you said erotic.
Eradicated.
Oh, sorry. I'm applying Griveth modifiers to Thorgarn. If it was Griveth, it would be erotically charged. Yes. Thorgarn, what does it look like as you use your magical warhammer to shatter this thing?
So I basically, go in through its remaining ribs, and then the follow-up strike just, shatters its spine, and it collapses in a heap.
And from somewhere, perhaps in the back of your mind, though you don't know where from, you hear 2 words: hot brimstone. Sorry, that was a chat reference, and a campaign 1 reference as well. So both the orc white and the ogre skeleton have been dealt with. Talmud, there doesn't appear to be anything left to fight in this room. What would you like to do?
So yeah, Critical Horn kind of looks around. Well, well done. Yes, very well done. And he kind of turns around, puts his hands on his hips as if like everything's finished, and then spots the ghost coming, and pulls the great axe out and holds it in front, readying an attack for if it closes. Still too afraid to
Okay, so two things. One,
close.
you lose your rage because you did not attack. And also you will you need to make a wisdom saving throw again.
All right. I'm going to use a domain die.
All right, another one burned.
Okay, that's a 16.
That is a success. So
Finally.
as you brace yourself with this new Durgadin the Black Forged magical battle axe, you suddenly find your resolve at the end of your turn.
As Critical Horn leaves.
Dead. So we are back to Fig, who has aged 40 years, tarnished considerably, and is sitting in a catatonic state.
You see Fig repeating sentences, words, but the sentences don't really make sense. The words seem to be random as he repeats them. He doesn't seem to move at first, but you can see his head raise, and without him even reaching for it, the little compartment on his arm opens up, very, very squeakily, because it's almost rusted shut. And you barely see him move at all as he takes out the wand from his forearm, and he just holds it, like his hand is shaking, and he holds it out at this ghost, and he's gonna use the wand of magic missile.
For sure. Yeah, and there's that moment where the compartment in your forearm sticks. And it has to, there's some flaking of this greenish, this tarnished copper as it opens up. Excuse me. But you are able to pull the wand and fire off at this ghost.
Yeah, and he's going to use a total of 5 of the 7 charges.
Okay. So that would make it 4, 5, 6, 7 D4, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So that is going to be a total of 28 points.
Yeah, 7 D4 plus 7.
Yeah. That is going to be 28 points.
Really?
Force damage.
Fig, how do you want to end this?
Fig doesn't even look. He's just, all you see is this
Like firing
small
off a
wand.
Roman candle.
Yeah, just you see him just and these all these lights come flying out, and they seem to be going in these random directions, and then seemingly they find their mark and they all just coalesce onto this spirit, and you just see this bright flash of light as the spirit just disintegrates from the center out.
It's 100% looks like the end of the Matrix. When Neo goes inside Agent Smith and just, there's that moment, Fig, where the last thing you see as you lift your head is the face of this ghost flying towards you, just, and it disintegrates into ectoplasm. And despite the split party, you are all out of combat.
Cantriel, what is the shade?
Griveth, that's my mother. Right now we have Fig to worry about, and Cantriel would drop down to her knees and just sort of try and see how Fig's doing.
Your mother?
Griveth, I will remind you that you are about 60, 70 feet away in another room.
Oh, okay, never mind.
You can have this conversation when you leave the room.
Later.
And what do you mean, what is this shade? Cantriel's been throwing shade at you this whole campaign.
Right? I mean, it's her brand.
Don't hang your head in shame, Jeremy. You've been dropping dad jokes.
I think we all have.
All right. Thorgarn. Talmud, you turned and faced the other room. Thorgarn, Melody, and Griveth are in the desecrated sanctuary. What would you like to do?
So is everything okay out there?
Are you shouting at me or what are you doing?
I'm asking, do I need to come out there and do anything?
Fig's not looking his best, so probably yes.
Oh, okay. So he's breathing heavy, and you can see, like, he's coming down out of his rage. The, spirits wind up filtering away from everyone else's view, even if they don't filter from mine. And he'll come over and see what's going on with Fig.
Fig is still sitting, but he is not cowering so much anymore, and he's also not repeating the words, and his voice has kind of returned back to that kind of more of a monotone voice as he just looks at you. I am fine now. That was a very unpleasant feeling that I never wish to have again.
Can I insight?
Sure. What specifically are you trying to determine?
I'm trying to determine his mental state.
Okay.
I imagine I come out of the room and he's still kind of like huddled on the ground.
Well, and you would absolutely notice that most of Fig's slightly, what was previously slightly tarnished copper metal bits are now mostly tarnished.
So that's a 23 insight.
That's on you, Fig, to...
You can tell that Fig is still shaken, but he's back in control of his faculties, more or less.
Well, Fig, if there's anything that you feel you need to discuss, you know that I am here.
Are you sure you're okay there, Fig?
Yes, I am fine now. I do not like that emotion that I felt. It was not very good.
I think what you're feeling is something called fear.
I don't like that at all. Not
No.
at all.
Not many do. Most don't.
Fig, are you damaged at all?
No, not at all.
Did anyone but me get hurt?
I think the only one that took damage was Thorgarn. Griveth. Thorgarn quickly leaves you alone with Cantriel's mother's spirit in this desecrated sanctuary. There are the dead orc white, the dead ogre now reduced back to a pile of bones, and several other bones scattered at your feet at the base of this altar. What would you like to do?
Glancing around quickly and realizing that the danger is past, I kind of carefully look at this shade and I kneel before it with my hands on my sword, and I say, "My lady, I will protect your daughter with my last breath. This I pledge to you."
Rise, Paladin, to your feet. You have sworn an oath to my daughter and to me. If you do not honor your oath, I will haunt you to your fucking grave.
You would not need to. My conscience would haunt me.
What is your name?
For she is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen.
What is your name, Paladin?
My name is Griveth Langsmere, Paladin of Eldath.
I will be keeping my eyes on you, Griveth Langsmore. Perhaps you should keep your eyes open as well. She turns and starts to walk away with a familiar air of haughtiness. And then she looks over her shoulder and sort of points at the altar and says, "For instance, look what's left behind." And then she leaves the room. What do you do?
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean off, dust off the remains of the shattered white that I destroyed on the altar, and kind of bow in reverence to the altar and wait for Thorgarn to re-enter the room.
Give me a perception check.
Okay. 16.
As you bow before the altar, your eye catches amidst the bones. You see that besides this ogre skeleton, there appear to be about 2 or 3 at least orc skeletons in remnants at the base. And you see one skeletal hand clutching a mostly decayed leather sack, and you see the shiny gold peeking out from behind it. And you also see a couple scrolls of parchment.
Okay, I pick those up, and I kind of pry back the skeletal hands off the bag. It's like, as I pull back the hand and drop it, barely held together by whatever, webs and lineaments are left,
Oh yeah, bones, knuckle bones begin to scatter across the floor.
So
been graphically describing combat this whole time, but V can't handle the bones.
I don't do well with undead.
So I put I'm not so interested in the loot, but I put it up on the altar because I know they are. So I put do I hear like the bag, like there's money in it, right?
Oh yeah, it was starting to rot away, so you can see, and as you set it on the altar, it just sort of disintegrates, and a couple hundred gold pieces scatter across the surface of the altar next to these 2 scrolls.
Okay. So I leave it there, kind of spilled out on the altar, and then I put the 2 scrolls on the altar, and then I go back to my reverence, waiting for Thorgarn to re-enter.
So once I'm, done reassuring Fig and making sure that, his faculties are back, I do quickly return.
Thorgarn smells gold.
No. I mean, for me, it's this is an altar to Moradin. I'm a fresh cleric to him, so I need to make sure that this place is as sanctified as I can make it. So I want to get all of the orc and ogre bones out of the room. I want to clean as best I can, and probably I want to linger here for as long as my allies will allow. I mean, not days or anything like that, but I want to take the time to actually pray here and see what needs to be done to restore this altar to its proper form.
Let us cleanse this room, brother. And I found some.
I also want to check the dwarf that's in here. See whether there's anything like not loot, but like is he someone of import? Should he have been laid to rest properly?
The corpse of the dwarf that was knocked askew and on kind of between the wall and the altar is held is held together by the plate armor that it was laid to rest in. There's age and desecration has long since marred the identity of this dwarf, but if you wish, the two of you working together are able to sort of clean up this area. Whoever's keeping track of loot, you have gained 280 gold pieces, as well as a scroll of web and a scroll of spider climb. This is a good point to refresh, because I don't believe we have maybe once used a scroll. I don't remember. But in my campaign, in my games, the way scrolls work is that anybody can read a scroll. However, if you are not a magic user, which would apply to Thorgarn and Talmud.
I am a magic user.
Wait, you are a magic user because you took cleric. Talmud, I guess, is the only one that would apply to. If Talmud wanted to read a scroll, he would be required to make a DC 15 intelligence check to succeed on that. It's a slight twist on just my house rule. I couldn't think of the word. I would like Griveth and Thorgarn. I would like you both at advantage to make religion checks.
So while I'm taking a look at this, is it plate mail or plate armor?
It is plate armor. It is very aged.
I have a 21 on my knowledge religion.
I got a 14.
Between the two of you, and I'll say that it takes you in total probably about at least a half an hour to clean up the bones of the undead, and spend some time in prayer before you are satisfied that you have reverted the desecration. The place is not fully consecrated per se, but you feel satisfied that you have cleansed this place of the taint that was in here, and perhaps one day it could be a true House of Moradin once again.
Do I feel any difference in connection with a short prayer here? Either if there's a problem, or is it weaker, stronger, any of that kind of stuff?
You get a sense that what you have done was the right decision. You get a sense of, you can't quite explain it, but you just know that this was the right thing to do.
Cool.
It is, you feel a presence, a sort of what some religions refer to as a still small voice, a sort of presence in the back of your mind that just a little as if sunlight was shining on your back. During this half-hour ceremony, what are Cantriel, Talmud, and Fig doing?
Cantriel would probably be trying to help Fig if Fig was trying to like work on the new coloration.
I think that Fig would. Someone had given him some oil. I forget who.
Cantriel.
Okay, so he would have gotten that out, and he would just begin to just try and like get it onto some of the joints.
Is this something where mending could help reduce it for him?
I would say mending or even prestidigitation.
Okay, because I have mending.
I would allow mending. I would say because this was such a severe aging process, you're not going to alter the fact that Fig has aged 40 years. But you can use your mending to repair those holes that you saw sort of wear through and remove a certain amount of the tarnish during the half hour that the others are engaged in their sanctification ceremony. Cantriel, roll me a D100. This is not going to be a patented Jake moving target sliding scale. Just roll a straight D100.
Okay. And that's a 31.
So yeah, you're able to basically through mending remove about 30% of the tarnish effect. So yeah, you get the sense that if you spend time over the course of time, you could probably help with the appearance. The oil definitely helps your joints to move a little freer. But yeah, that's kind of where you're at. And I am attempting to find the original card. I'm just wondering how long your Shadow Mother persists. Because I don't remember.
Until it drops to 0, or I say bye-bye.
Okay. Excellent. That's what I thought it was. I just wanted to double check.
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah, so during this time, Talmud, is there anything you want to do while Cantriel is rubbing Fig down in a cleansing way, not in a hot brimstone way?
Yeah, Talmud will be kind of exploring a little bit from where the ghost came from, as well as kind of around the newly appointed sanctuary.
Yeah, let's get another encounter going on while we're doing this.
Okay, so Talmud, because basically you got a half hour to dick around while others are engaged in activities. So first, before Thorgarn and Griveth sort of chase you out of the sanctuary while they begin their prayers, I would like you to make me an investigation check.
All right. Oh, there goes my pencil. It's lost forever. 3.
You do not find anything of note in the sanctuary. So after about 5 or 10 minutes, the bones cleared. I imagine Thorgarn and Griveth are sort of kneeling and just sort of looking pointedly at you and just sort of kind of thing.
Well, you two are very boring, and he's going to leave the room.
I haven't, just real quick, I haven't seen anything in the chat, but can you guys let me know in the chat if anything is weird with the stream? I'm getting, oh, yep. I just noticed Gamers Theater saying that we're getting some frame drops. We're working towards a stopping point anyway. I just noticed that I have a red bar and I've dropped a few frames. And we're just a little stuttery. So let's go ahead and see this through and see what problems Talmud causes. So, Talmud, you decided you want to go investigate this area where the ghost came from, correct? So
just basically that room that had the big circle, the fountain in it.
Yep. So you head into this room with this sort of big circular fountain, and you realize that you are in what looks to be dwarven halls. You can see that there's the pool in the center of this room. To the west is a hallway about 30 feet or so with 4 doors, 2 on the north, 2 on the south. To the east is another long hallway. 7 doors line this hallway, 4 to the north, 3 to the south, spaced out a little further. At the end of this long hallway, you see it appears to open up into a large chamber, and another dark pool seems to be in its center. And you can just make out the remains of several bodies of old warriors, dwarven corpses lying where they fell 100 years ago, surrounded by the remains of at least a dozen orc warriors. And that is where we are going to end tonight's session. All right. None too soon, as it appears I briefly had some green. Gamers Theater said the ticker that's moving along the bottom seems to almost reflect the frame rate, which I can tell has dropped a little bit. So we're going to go ahead. We're not going to waste any time before the stream craps out completely. I'm sure it has nothing to do with my wife and two teenagers eating up bandwidth on the internet, since my son is home from college this weekend. A huge shout out to all of you in the audience. As always, we love having you with us as we go through these adventures. A super mega awesome shout out to Joey P, Chameleon Fam, our patron of the domain dice, who dropped 12 domain dice tonight, which you guys burned through quite a few of those. Very well used, of course. I want to give an extra shout out to Cheswick Student, our stalwart moderator, hanging out in the chat, keeping things awesome in the chat, as well as everybody else in the chat. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not say a huge thank you to DM Scotty, V, Megan, Ted, and Jeremy. I immensely enjoyed tonight's session. You can tell it's not a true indication, but you can definitely get a sense when I forget that we're supposed to take a break at about 10 to 10. I was so into what was happening. I love the fact that you guys split the party, triggered 2 encounters. Things could have been a lot worse. They got kind of rough in there. But at the end of the day, you slayed the enemies. Thorgarn took a fair amount of damage, but he can take care of himself. And Talmud seems to have discovered more dwarven remains, it appears. And Griveth and Thorgarn have prayed to their gods and have sanctified a once desecrated temple. Where last week they couldn't seem to get out of the room they were in the week before, this week they discovered they got two new rooms and discovered 2 new rooms. So this is just unprecedented for the Dawnbringers. So I do want to say that next week will be the 32nd of April, also known as the 2nd of May. And we will be returning with don't give me that look, V. It's just my weird way of doing math. We will be returning with episode 12 of the Dawnbringers. And then we will be taking we'll be back for 2 weeks. I'm getting my math wrong, my days wrong. I think that's right. We'll be back on the 2nd and then again on the 9th. And then we will be taking a 1-week break for the Jasper's Game Week stream. Please head down below on Twitch here to the Jasper's Game Day panel. Click on that link to head over to Jasper's Game Day. Thanks again, V, for dropping the link to Tiltify, where I've actually gotten word through a message during the game that our friend Jason T, D&D DM on Twitch, who is also the games organizer for the Jasper's Game Week stream, during his stream over on Grimjack's channel tonight, that they raised $150 for Jasper's Game Day just in raffles of people signing up, because this raffle is so that you can possibly win a seat to play in one of the 5 flagship games that week. So be sure to check that out if that's something you are interested in. You can find that over there. Also, be sure to check out, if you type in !coffee, and there's a link down below, you can now get roast coffee, a blend of Brazilian and Peruvian medium roast coffee that is a partnership between Mini Terrain Domain and Initiative Coffee Company, with proceeds, some amount of the proceeds, benefiting Jasper's Game Day. And I should clarify, when I say benefiting Jasper's Game Day, what that money is really going towards is to fund crisis centers. And because specifically I'm the one that's working with them, it actually goes to fund crisis centers in Michigan. But depending on where the Jasper's Game Day events are held, they keep those funds local. So, if you're in Ohio, if you're in Texas, if you're in California, Washington, wherever you may be, and you run a Jasper's Game Day, or there is a Jasper's Game Day event going on, those funds will stay local to fund crisis centers for the prevention of suicide. So with that, we're going to go ahead and end tonight's stream the same way we end every stream. And now it is the name of a brand of coffee. You can say it with me if you want.